You close your eyes tonight, and within minutes, your brain will construct an entire world. Characters who don't exist, places you've never been, physics that make no sense. You will believe every second of it is real, and by morning, most of it will vanish like it never happened. You do this every single night of your life, and you have never once questioned how strange that is. For almost all of human history, and for almost the entire span of your own life, this has felt completely unremarkable. It is not. Nothing else your brain does comes close. Here is the number that this entire story hangs on. You will spend roughly 6 years of your life dreaming, not sleeping, dreaming. 6 full years of vivid, immersive, hallucinated experience that your waking mind will barely remember happened at all. Multiply that across billions of people over thousands of generations, and you start to see the scale of it. An entire hidden civilization of experience running every night in every human being, since before we had language to describe it. And the answer to why is not what you were taught. It is not simply your brain sorting files or taking out the trash while you sleep. The real explanation touches on danger, memory, evolution, and a piece of your own biology that is working against you right now, tonight, whether you know it or not. Once you understand it, you will never think about sleep the same way again. The story has a real hinge point, a moment where dreaming stopped being folklore and started being science. In 1953, at the University of Chicago, a graduate student named Eugene Oserinsky was studying the sleep of his own 8-year-old son. He noticed something under the boy's closed eyelids, rapid jerking movements, almost like the eyes were watching something. Oserinsky brought this to his supervisor, Nathaniel Kleitman, and together they hooked sleeping volunteers up to machines that tracked brain activity and eye movement through the night. What they found broke the existing model of sleep completely. The brain was not going quiet. During certain stretches of the night, it was lighting up almost as active as it was during full wakefulness, while the eyes darted rapidly behind closed lids. They called this stage REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, and when they woke people up during it, the sleepers reported vivid story-like dreams almost every time. Before this discovery, dreaming had been treated as a philosophical curiosity, something for poets and psychoanalysts to argue about. After it, dreaming became a measurable biological event, something with a location in the brain and a specific, repeatable signature you could watch on a machine. Picture an early human sleeping in the open, thousands of years before shelter meant 4 walls and a locked door. The fire has burned down to embers. Every sound in the dark carries weight, because in that world, every sound might be a predator closing the distance. Now picture that same person's brain, hours into sleep, running a silent rehearsal. In the dream, a shape moves at the edge of the clearing. The body doesn't run. It can't. It's paralyzed by the natural muscle shutdown that happens during REM sleep, a mechanism that stops you from physically acting out what you're dreaming, but the brain runs the scenario anyway. Threat detected. Heart rate rises slightly. Attention narrows. The dreaming mind rehearses fear, rehearses fleeing, rehearses survival, without a single real muscle moving in the dark. Now that person wakes at dawn. They have never actually encountered a predator in the night. But some circuit in their brain has practiced the encounter anyway, over and over, safely, for years. When the real threat eventually comes, it is not the first time that brain has processed the shape of danger. It has rehearsed it 1,000 times in a theater with no risk at all. This is not just a vivid guess. It is close to an actual theory taken seriously by sleep researchers, called the threat simulation theory, developed by the Finnish cognitive scientist Antti Revonsuo in the early 2000s. Revonsuo analyzed large collections of recorded dreams and found something striking. A strong proportion of ordinary dreams, across cultures and across ages, involve some form of threat, chase, conflict, or narrow escape. Not romance, not reward, danger. His argument was that dreaming evolved, at least in part, as a kind of flight simulator for the brain, a low-cost way to rehearse dangerous situations without the real-world consequences of getting them wrong. Children's dreams, when researchers studied them, skewed even more heavily toward threat content than adult dreams, which fits the theory. A developing brain, still learning the rules of a dangerous world, may need the rehearsal more than a brain that has already logged decades of experience. The second study takes the story in a completely different direction, out of the jungle and into the modern sleep lab. Researchers studying memory and sleep, including work associated with sleep scientists at Harvard Medical School in the mid-2000s, ran an experiment using a virtual maze. Participants spent time learning to navigate the maze while awake. Then some of them took a nap, while others simply stayed awake and rested. The people who napped, and specifically the people who reported dreaming about the maze during that nap, showed a significantly better improvement in their maze performance afterward, compared to those who napped without maze-related dreams and compared to those who never slept at all. The dreaming brain, it turned out, was not randomly generating nonsense. It appeared to be actively reprocessing the day's specific challenge, replaying and reorganizing it in a way that measurably improved real-world skill. In plain terms, the dream was not separate from the learning. It looked like part of the learning. Put those two findings next to each other and something remarkable emerges. One line of research suggests dreaming rehearses danger. Another suggests dreaming reprocesses and strengthens memory and skill. These are not competing explanations. They are the same mechanism pointed at two different jobs. A brain that evolved to simulate threats and a brain that evolved to consolidate memory may simply be running the same underlying software, one that plays out scenarios offline without real-world risk, using whatever raw material the day left behind. Fear one night, a math problem the next, a face you can't place from 20 years ago, all raw material for the same nightly simulation engine. Here is the detail almost nobody brings up, the kind of thing that quietly reframes everything once you hear it. The word dream comes from an old root associated with words for joy, music, and even noise, and there is genuine debate among linguists about how closely our ancestors originally linked the word to sleep at all. For centuries in parts of medieval Europe, physicians and scholars did not treat dreams as private internal events the way we do now. They were sometimes recorded and discussed the way we might discuss a fever or a physical symptom, treated as data about the state of the body, not as entertainment produced by the mind. Dreaming was closer to a diagnostic tool than a form of nightly storytelling. It is only relatively recently, historically speaking, that we started treating dreams primarily as strange personal movies instead of medical or spiritual information. You are living inside a very modern reinterpretation of something ancient. Civilizations approached almost like clinical evidence. Now bring this back to you tonight. Every phone you scroll through before bed, every stressful email you reread at midnight, every argument you replay in your head as you're trying to fall asleep, becomes raw material. Your brain may quietly work through hours later while you have no conscious control over it at all. This is part of why a stressful day so often produces a stressful, chaotic night of dreams. Your brain is not being dramatic. It may genuinely be doing threat rehearsal and memory sorting on the exact material you fed it right before shutting your eyes. And here is the part that should unsettle you a little. Most people wake up remembering almost none of it. Studies on dream recall suggest that a large percentage of nightly dream content is forgotten within minutes of waking, sometimes before the sleeper is even fully conscious. That means an entire nightly performance, potentially shaping your memory, your emotional processing, your rehearsal of the exact stress you are carrying, is happening every night, largely without your permission and almost entirely without your awareness. You are not watching the show. You are simply living with its effects the next day, whether you feel more anxious, more clear-headed, or strangely unsettled by a feeling you can't quite name. There's another layer to this that touches almost everyone who has ever taken a certain kind of medication, had a drink before bed, or simply gotten older. REM sleep, the stage most associated with vivid dreaming, is suppressed by alcohol, by many common sleep medications, and it naturally shifts and often shortens with age. Some researchers have connected disruptions in REM sleep to increased next-day irritability, worse memory consolidation, and higher stress reactivity, though this remains an active area of ongoing study rather than settled fact. which means the glass of wine that helps you fall asleep faster might also be quietly cutting into the exact stage of sleep responsible for helping you process today and rehearse tomorrow. You are, in a very real sense, trading a short term feeling of ease for a long term deficit in a system you didn't even know you were interrupting.